The Glasses. Chapter 1. The Lost Glasses. It was a dark and stormy night. The rain was falling in heavy sheets, and the wind was howling through the empty streets of the city. I was on my way home from work, but as I stepped out of the building, I realized that something was wrong. I couldn't see anything clearly. I rubbed my eyes, but it didn't help. Then I realized that I had lost my glasses. Panic set in as I tried to retrace my steps, but the rain was coming down so hard that I could barely keep my eyes open. I stumbled along the wet pavement, feeling my way with my hands, hoping to find my glasses. The city was a blur, and the people passing by looked like ghosts. I could hear their footsteps and their voices, but I couldn't see their faces. It was as if I had been transported to another world, a world where everything was distorted and confusing. As I walked on, my mind raced with thoughts of how I was going to make it home without my glasses. How would I cross the busy streets? How would I navigate the confusing maze of alleys and buildings that led to my apartment? I felt helpless and alone, lost in the darkness and rain. I stumbled and almost fell a few times, but I managed to keep going. The rain soaked through my clothes, and the cold wind chilled me to the bone. But I didn't care. All I wanted was to find my glasses and make it home safely. Chapter 2. A World of Shadows. The rain continued to fall relentlessly as I walked along, my eyes straining to see through the darkness. The world around me had turned into a world of shadows, where nothing was clear or defined. I could barely make out the outlines of buildings and people, and the colors of the world had faded away. The city that I knew so well had become a labyrinth of confusion and disorientation. I couldn't tell where I was or which way I was going. The familiar landmarks that I used to navigate had disappeared, and I was lost in a sea of shadows. As I walked on, my mind played tricks on me. I saw things that weren't there, and I heard sounds that weren't real. I stumbled over curbs and trash cans, and I bumped into people who shouted at me in anger. But I didn't give up. I kept walking, determined to find my glasses and make it home. And then, something strange happened. The world around me began to change. The shadows became less ominous, and the shapes more defined. The colors began to return, and the rain cleared away. I realized that my eyes had adjusted to the darkness, and I could see again. It wasn't perfect vision, but it was enough to make my way home. I felt a sense of relief wash over me, and I knew that I was going to be okay. Chapter 3. The Power of Perception. As I walked through the now clearer streets, I began to think about the power of perception. How our minds create our reality, and how our perception can shape our experiences. Without my glasses, The world had become a confusing and scary place. But as my eyes adjusted to the darkness, the world around me changed. I realized that perception was not just about sight, but about how we see the world in general. Our experiences are shaped by how we perceive them. A dark and stormy night can be frightening or beautiful, depending on how we choose to see it. I realize that we often take our senses for granted. We assume that what we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is an accurate representation of reality. But the truth is, our senses are limited, and our perception of the world is subjective. As I continued to walk, I noticed how my other senses had heightened in the absence of my vision. The sound of the rain hitting the pavement became more distinct. The smell of freshly brewed coffee from a nearby cafe became more pronounced. I even began to feel the texture of the concrete beneath my feet. It was as if I had gained a new set of senses, and I was seeing the world in a completely different way. I began to appreciate the beauty in the small things that I had previously overlooked. I also realized that perception is not just about our physical senses, but about our mental state as well. Our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs can shape our perception of the world. A negative mindset can make even the most beautiful surroundings seem dull and uninteresting, while a positive mindset can make even the most mundane tasks seem enjoyable. As I pondered these thoughts, I came across a homeless man huddled under a cardboard box. Normally, I would have walked past without a second glance, but my newfound perception made me see him in a different light. I saw him as a human being with a story, a life, and struggles that I couldn't even imagine. I felt a sense of empathy and compassion that I had never felt before. It was a powerful realization, and one that I knew would stay with me even after I found my glasses. I continued to walk, taking in the world around me with a newfound appreciation for the power of perception. I realized that our perception can shape our reality, and that we have the power to choose how we see the world. Chapter 4: Embracing the Unknown. As I continued on my journey, I realized that sometimes in life, we have to embrace the unknown. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we react to it. Losing my glasses was an unexpected and uncomfortable experience, but it also forced me to see the world in a new way. I had to rely on my other senses and my intuition to navigate through the city. In a way, it was liberating. I didn't have to worry about how I looked or whether my glasses were smudged. I was able to experience the world in a different way, and it made me appreciate the beauty and complexity of life. I realized that sometimes we have to let go of our preconceptions and embrace the unknown. We have to trust that everything will work out in the end, even if we don't know exactly how. It's a scary but exhilarating feeling, and it reminded me of the importance of being open-minded and adventurous in life.